Michigan's governor called on the National Guard following a night of rage in Milwaukee. Demonstrations over the fatal police shooting of Sylville Smith, who was armed during a traffic stop, turned violent. Smith was African American, as was the officer who shot him. DeMarco Morgan has more.
Buildings burned on Milwaukee's north side, police in riot gear, protesters setting cars on fire, tossing bricks at squad cars, sending one officer to the hospital. Chaos erupting after a 23-year-old suspect is shot and killed by cops during a foot chase. It all started with a traffic stop. Milwaukee Mayor Tom Barrett.
This stop took place because two officers who were there to make sure that there was order in this neighborhood, and they felt there was suspicious activity going on. As it turned out, two individuals, the gun was a stolen gun. The officer didn't know it at the time, but there were 23 rounds in that gun.
Barrett says the officer, with 6 years on the force, ordered the suspect to drop his weapon, but he refused to. He was shot twice in the chest and arm. The mayor says the officers involved were wearing body cameras. Tensions remained high into the morning, with some protesters vowing to continue the unrest.
No, it's not going to end today. I can't tell you it's going to end tomorrow. I don't know when it's going to end. But it's for y'all to start. We're not the ones that's killing us. Y'all killing us. We can't make a change if y'all don't change.
Peace rallies were held Sunday with city and state leaders calling for calm.
Elaine, state officials are now investigating the shooting that sparked the violence.
All right, DeMarco Morgan. DeMarco.
And we begin with breaking news in the South. An epic flood disaster now blamed for 4 deaths that tonight has left thousands without a home. The National Guard on the scene, an incredible 7,000 rescues already. That number expected to rise. Drivers stranded by floodwaters for 24 hours. The Coast Guard also busy at work. This helicopter hoisting 3 people trapped on the rooftop amid rising waters. And the devastation from the sky. Take a look. Drone footage revealing the full extent of the state of emergency. Some rivers still expected to rise. Tonight, the flood threat on the move. The forecast in a moment. But first, ABC's Philip Mena in the flood zone.
Give me a knife. Give me a knife. Tonight, thousands caught in the flood zone still trying to escape.
We're breaking the window.
This convertible sinking by the second. A woman and her dog trapped inside. Nothing is working. Finally, David Fung jumps in, pulling her out by her arm.
Give a dog.
Her dog.
Give a dog.
Seconds later,
I got your dog. Oh!
fishing her dog out too. Homes, cars, and routes to safety all underwater. All day we have been seeing boat after boat filled with evacuees, and these rescues have been made not by emergency responders, but by neighbors helping neighbors. Many stranded in their cars on Interstate 12, some for over 24 hours without food or water.
Day 2, they're trying to evacuate the sick and the elderly. But as you can see behind me, a lot of the interstate's actually flooded. We've been here for about 30 hours now.
And forced to abandon their homes, taking no chances with the possibility of rising waters. Where are you going to go from here?
Well, I'm going to go from here, just like I did from Katrina. Start all over again, as long as I'm living.
4 losing their lives so far, 5,000 living in shelters. And this, our first look inside the flood zone, waist-deep water. This business ruined. But amid the disaster,
We don't have no service.
No cattle that good.
We happy to see you.
Had to get out.
Oh, Lord. We happy to see you.
stories of hope and reunion.
Philip met in Baton Rouge tonight. Philip, the water is still rising in the neighborhood where you're standing, and there is yet another big problem for rescue teams and residents.
Yeah, Tom, the streets are flooded in all directions and the water is rising fast. And adding to the problem, AT&T cell phone service has not been working all day. AT&T says they are aware of the problem, but like everyone else, it is flooded out here. Tom?
Yeah, we could see that with that semi trying to navigate those waters. Philip, thank you. And while historic floods swamp the South, a deadly heat wave has millions sweltering under heat alerts tonight. The heat index pushing into triple digits from North Carolina to Massachusetts. 3 fatalities so far in Philadelphia alone. ABC's Rob Marciano is in a hot and humid New York City tonight. Rob.
Tom, these cities are really baking. The steel and the concrete just retaining and radiating all this heat. And it's going to be another warm night tonight. Look at some of the values for heat indexes today, what it felt like across the big cities along I-95, 107 in D.C., and 101 is what it felt like in Boston. Tomorrow, I wouldn't say we're cooling down, but it won't be quite as hot. 95 will be the heat index in New York and 100 degrees in D.C. More significant cooling later in the week. Other big story is the devastating floods across Louisiana. Still a threat for rain there, but the bulk of the heavy moisture will be filtered up into the Mid-South and Midwest. 3 to 5 plus inches expected. We have flash flood watches from Arkansas and through Indiana through at least Tuesday night.
Back now with our index, starting tonight with an update on that deadly apartment explosion in Maryland. Authorities confirming a 4th body has been discovered in the charred debris. The building went up in flames Wednesday night. 4 other people are still missing. The cause is unknown. Firefighters getting a surprise in Oregon. Check this out. A steady gust of hot, dry winds whipped the flames into what's called a fire-nado. About 5 acres were torched before the swirling fire-nado died down. Now to a lesson in parenting from one wild family. The scene streaming across the world. A bear watching as her 3 cubs plunge over a waterfall. A live bear cam capturing it all, including that moment when instincts kick in and Mama Bear jumps into action, pulling the cubs to safety. And sorry, Adele fans, but the Hello singer has made it very clear she won't be performing in the Super Bowl halftime show next year. The always humble Adele telling fans last night, quote, "That show is not about music and I can't dance or anything like that."
Medical charity Doctors Without Borders says it received 10 dead children in northern province of Sada, where Saudi warplanes bombed a school on Saturday. The Yemeni Health Ministry also confirms the death toll.
It was in a summer school where kids were learning the Quran. This attack took place in a province where the Saudis don't single out even hospitals or healthcare centers. Our medical staff were also targeted.
The bombardment of the school made people very angry. Some have come with bizarre ideas, such as releasing big balloons filled with helium and ammunition to bring down Saudi warplanes.
These ideas are just illusions. The Yemenis should take up their weapons and join those fighters who are deep inside Saudi territories to end the aggression and destroy their weapons. Only that could stop this war.
According to rights groups, Saudi strikes against schools, residential areas and factories amount to war crimes.
The bombardment of Fatihullah School is another war crime committed by Saudi Arabia. There were over 60 students there. This crime was followed by another raid on Al-Okairi House. 8 family members, including women and children, perished.
Rights activists say that the United Nations' decision to take off Saudi Arabia from the list of child rights violators was a grave mistake. They argue if the UN wants to secure world's trust, it should take more serious actions. Mohammed Attab, Press TV, Sana'a.